Hi, sir. This is T. Kushi from ITA, and my roll number is 37. And my topic for concept video for COA subject is difference between low level language and high level language. So, firstly, what is programming language? Programming languages define and compile a set of instructions for the CPU for performing any specific task. Every programming language has a set of keywords along with syntax that it uses for creating instructions. Thousands of programming languages have come into form. All of them have their own specific purposes. All of these languages have a variation in terms of the level of abstraction that they all provide from the hardware. A few of these languages provide less or no abstraction at all, while the others provide a very high abstraction. On the basis of this level of abstraction, there are two types of programming languages, that is, low level language and high level language. The primary difference between low level language and high level language is that any programmer can understand, compile, and interpret a high level language feasibly as compared to the machine. The machines, on the other hand, are capable of understanding the low level language more feasibly compared to the human beings. So, there, based on the abstraction level, we have two types of programming languages: low level programming languages and high level programming languages. So, both have its own pros and cons. So, when you compare it with high level programming language is easy to understand or compile or interpret, and it is more feasible to the human beings when compared to the machines. So coming to the other hand, that is the low level language is very efficient for machines. Machines can easily understand this low level language. It can easily interpret, it can easily analyze and give the output with the help of this low level language. So both has its own pros and cons. So high level programming languages examples are C, Pascal, Java, Python, etc. So with this high level language, with the help of compiler, it is converted into a low level language that is nothing but machine language or assembly language. So you can use a compiler, or you can also use an interpreter also for the conversion of language from high level to low level. So what are high level languages? One can easily interpret and combine these languages as compared to the low level languages. They're very easy to understand. Such languages are programmer friendly. Debugging is not very difficult. They come with easy maintenance and are thus simple and manageable. So coming to high level language is known as user friendly language because you are going to give the inputs or instructions in the form of English language, that is user's language. So it is easy for the user to understand it, to give the input, and it is not very difficult to debug the things. So it is known as user friendly language, and it is it has easy maintenance, and it is very easy and simple and manageable. So high level language is divided into three types: structured language, procedural language, and object oriented language. One can easily run them on different platforms. So high level language can be run on different types of platforms. They require a compiler or an interpreter for translation into a machine code. So as already mentioned earlier, so generally when high level language is given, it should be converted into machine code. So the software which is used to convert high level language into a machine language or machine code is nothing but a compiler or an interpreter. So the main difference between a compiler and interpreter is that compiler converts the whole program at once, whereas interpreter converts line by line program. So line by line it converts, and the errors are given line by line. So this is the main difference. So you can use either compiler or interpreter for translation of a high level language to the machine code. A user can port them from one location to another location. Such languages have a low efficiency of memory, so it can consume more memory than the low level languages. They are very widely used and popular in today's times. So Java, C, C++, Python, etc. are few examples of high level language. So these are all few examples of high level languages. So coming to low level language, what are low level languages? They're also called as machine level languages. Machines can easily understand it. High-level languages are very machine friendly. Debugging them is very difficult. They are not very easy to understand. So here, coming to low-level language. So as mentioned earlier, high-level language is very user-friendly. So machine-level language is very, low-level language is very much machine friendly, and it is a machine-level language, and machine can easily understand this. Humans cannot understand this low-level language, and debugging them is a bit very difficult because low-level language is generally in the form of binary digits, zeros and ones. So these are not very easy to understand. So coming to low-level language, it is divided into two types: machine language and assembly language. All the languages come with complex maintenance. They are not portable. These language depends on machines, so they cannot be used on different platforms. Thus, one can run it on various platforms. They always require assemblers for translating instructions. Low-level languages do not have a very wide application in today's time. So difference between high-level language and low-level language. So coming to high-level language, these are program-friendly languages that are manageable, easy to understand, debugging, and widely used in today's time. Coming to low-level language, they are machine-friendly languages that are very difficult to understand by human beings but easy to interpret by machines. In case of ease of execution, high-level languages, they are very easy to execute, whereas low-level languages, these are very difficult to execute. Coming to the process of translation, high-level languages require or use a compiler or an interpreter for the translation of a high-level language to a machine code, whereas low-level language requires an assembler for directly translating the instructions of a machine language. So as you can see in the pictures, generally low-level languages are in the form of binary digits, that is zeros and ones, whereas high-level language is nothing but the English language which we use daily. English-like statements is nothing but high-level language, and zeros and ones is nothing but low-level language. So coming to the portability, high-level languages, these are portable from any device to any other device. And coming to low-level language, a user cannot port these from any device to another device. Coming to the compressibility, high-level languages are human-friendly. They are very easy to understand and they are very easy to learn by any programmer. Coming to low-level languages, these are machine-friendly. They are very difficult to understand and learn by humans. So dependency on machines. High-level languages do not depend on any machines, whereas low-level languages are machine-dependent and thus are very difficult to understand by a normal user. Coming to debugging, high-level languages are very easy to debug, whereas a programmer cannot easily debug the low-level languages. Coming to the maintenance, high-level languages have a simple and comprehensive maintenance technique, whereas low-level language, to maintain a low-level language, it is quite complex and quite costlier also. So coming to the usage, high-level languages are very common and widely used programming languages in today's time, whereas low-level languages are not very common nowadays for programming. Speed of execution, high-level languages take more time for execution as compared to low-level languages because they require a translation program. Whereas coming to low-level language, the translation speed of low-level languages is also very high. So coming to the abstraction, high-level languages allows a higher abstraction, whereas low-level languages allows a very little abstraction or no abstraction at all. So need of an hardware. A high-level language does not require a knowledge of hardware for writing programs, whereas low-level language should have knowledge of hardware. That means prerequisite knowledge is always required to write a low-level language program. What are the facilities provided? High-level languages do not provide various facilities at the hardware level. Low-level languages are very close to the hardware, so they help in writing various programs at the hardware level. Coming to the ease of modification, the process of modifying programs is very difficult with high-level programs. It is because every single statement in it may execute a bunch of instructions. The process of modifying programs is very easy in low-level languages. Here it can directly map the statements to the processor instructions. So some of the examples of high-level languages are Basic, COBOL, Pascal, Ruby, etc. And some examples of low-level languages include machine language and assembly language. So, high-level language and low-level language, we'll look into the main differences. Till now, we have looked the differences based on the parameters. So, some of the main parameters or some of the main differences are high-level language. It can be considered as a programmer-friendly language. Low-level language, it can be considered as a machine-friendly language. High-level language requires a compiler or an interpreter to be translated into a machine code, whereas a low-level language, it requires an assembler that would translate the instructions. And high-level language, it can be ported from one location to another, and whereas low-level language is not portable. And coming to high-level language, it is easy to understand. Low-level language, it is difficult to understand. And high-level language, it is easy to debug, whereas low-level language is not that easy, so it is difficult to debug. And coming to the memory, it is less memory efficient. High level language is less memory efficient. That is, it consumes more memory in comparison to low level languages. So when you compare low level language with high level language, it needs less memory. So it consumes less memory. So these are some of the important differences between high level language and low level language. So what are the advantages of low level language? So programs developed using low level languages are fast and memory efficient. Programmers can utilize processor and memory in better way using the low level language, and there is no need of any compilers or interpreters to translate the source to the machine code. Thus cuts the complication and interpretation time as well. Low level language provides direct manipulation of computer registers and storage. It can directly communicate with the hardware devices. So the main advantages is that low level languages are a bit fast, it needs less memory, and it has direct communication with hardware devices. So, and it does not require any compiler or interpreter to translate it into a machine code. So compilation and interpretation time is also reduced, so it is a bit faster, memory efficient, and it communicates directly with the hardware devices. So coming to the disadvantages of low level language, programs developed using low level languages are machine dependent and are not portable. It is difficult to develop or debug or maintain low-level language programming. Low-level programs are more error-prone. Low-level programming usually results in poor programming productivity. Programmer must have additional knowledge of the computer architecture of a particular machine for programming in low-level language. So coming to the advantages of high-level language, high-level languages are programmer-friendly. They are easy to write, debug, and maintain. It provides higher level of abstraction from machine languages. It is machine-independent language. It is portable, easy to learn, less error-prone, easy to find and debug errors. High-level programming results in better programming productivity. But what are the disadvantages of high-level language? It takes additional translation times to translate the source to the machine code. High-level programs are comparatively slower than low-level programs. Compared to low-level programs, they are generally more efficient, cannot communicate directly with the hardware devices. So these are some of the disadvantages of high-level languages. So in this whole presentation, we have tried to learn about the difference between high-level language and high-level language and low-level language. So generally, depending upon the abstraction level or level of abstractions, you have programming levels or two programming languages. That is high-level programming language, and the other one is low-level programming language. So high-level programming language is known as the user-friendly programming language, whereas low-level programming language is called as machine-friendly programming language. And the main aim of high-level programming language is that it is easy to understand, and it requires, it is easy to understand, easy to write. It is user-friendly, and it is machine independent language, so it can be run in any types of platforms, and it is also portable, and it has a less number of errors, and it is easy to debug and maintain. But the disadvantages of these high level languages are that It is slow when compared to low level language, and it does not have direct communications with the hardware devices, and it takes more time because in high level language you need interpreters or compilers to convert a high level language to the machine code. Now when you compare it with a low level language, generally low level languages are nothing but language which is in the form of binary codes, that is zeros and ones. So when zeros and ones are used, so low level language is more faster when compared with high level language, and it has direct communication with the hardware devices, and it needs less memory. And the comparison, the translation time, that is compiler time or interpretation time, is also reduced because there is no need of converting the given code into a machine code, because it is already in the form of zeros and ones, and machine can easily understand the low level language. But the main disadvantage of low level language is that it is having more number of errors, and it cannot be understood easily. It has many large number of errors in it, and debugging of a low level language is very tough, and it is machine dependent, so it cannot run on all platforms, and it is not even portable also. And the other main disadvantage of low level language is that it uses an assembler, so to communicate with the hardware devices. So that is one of the other disadvantage of low level language. And as you all know, low level language is not in demand these days because of these things, that it is very difficult to understand. And when you have to write a program in low level language, you should have a idea how to write, so you should be aware of writing it when compared with high level language. So high level language does not require any preparation, whereas when you have to write a program in low level language, you need a prerequisite. That means you should have an idea beforehand, whereas for a high level language there is no need of any idea, you can go with the flow. So that is one of the main disadvantage of low level language when compared with high level language. So both high level language and low level languages are important, but these days, depending upon the demands, high level language is more in demand when compared with the low level language. Thank you. Hope you understood the presentation, and you are clear on the topics of high level language and low level language. Thank you so much.